Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero system requirements again. Now, the reason I'm talking about it is people have been asking me their specific specs, like their specific CPU and graphics card and so on. So I'm just going to go through that, but first off, let's just check out the specs again. This is on Bandai Namco's website, store.bandai entertainment or ent.eu. I'm using the EU website because it's easy to use and find. So first off, we're going to go into the inspection tab. Just get inspect. There we go. Now we're going to find system requirements. And here we have it, system requirements. This state the i7-4790 and AMD Ryzen 5 1500X, 12 gig RAM, GeForce GTX 660 or AMD HD 7850 2GB, DirectX version 11 of course, 30 GB of storage. And here we have a 4K requirement for, this is probably like low settings or something. 12 gig RAM, Nvidia GeForce GTX 1060 or AMD R9 Fury 4 GB. Okay. Now I already copied all of this information out and made a page. And here we have it. Now, this is the current specs for requirements for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. However, I think it may change due to the they have not officially released this yet. It's not on the web page itself. So it might change because they haven't officially revealed it on Steam as well. So it's not on Steam, it's not on their page and everything. The only way to find it is going through the inspection tab. So it's basically hidden between all this HTML code and stuff. So it's hidden, but for most people, because not a lot of people go through that. So the reason I'm talking to you about this is because it might change. This is not 100%, but it might change. We don't know. Maybe we get it like that, maybe we don't. So we'll wait and see. But for now, I'm going to talk about this specs and what people comment. Okay. Now first is, can it run on RX 588 GB and Core i7 4th gen and 16 gigs RAM? Now, yes, it should. 8 GB RX 580. If you go here and we just find a GTX 660, let me just go here. GTX 660. Let's just make sure it's a 662 GB. So 660. Here we have a GTX 660. Now this website is not the end all and be all with accuracy. I'm not saying this is going to be 100% accurate, but you'll get a general idea. That's what I'm going to use the site for, general idea. Now he says he's using a RX 580 8 GB. Look for RX 580. Here we have RX 580, so it's 235% faster. So yeah, you're definitely gonna get about 60 FPS with a 8 GB RX 580. If you look here, the recommended specs is a GTX 780. So for 30 FPS, so basically if you run it low settings, you're definitely going to be getting above 60 FPS in my opinion. Let's just check recommended settings. Recommended would be the 780. See the Ti? No, only the 780. GTX 780. Here it is. And let's compare that to the RX 580. Here we have it. It's about 35% faster than the high spec version. It's 35% faster than the GTX 780. So 35% faster on recommended requirements. So this is not 100% accurate, but the the RX 580 will probably be doing 30 FPS definitely at recommended settings, 1080p of course, and it will be on highest settings, and you'll probably be getting like 35 to 40 FPS. I'm guessing, I'm just ballparking it there, but you should be getting around that performance with it on high settings. So you can do a mixture of minimum and recommended settings here, or just medium settings, and you'll probably get 60 FPS. Now as for the CPU, he stated i7 4th gen. I don't know if it's going to be getting 60 FPS. So just looking at a PS5's CPU, we have a Zen 2 CPU with 8 cores capped at 3.5 GHz. Now I'm just going to go and ballpark it with this 3050. I'm just gonna ballpark it with the 3700 AMD CPU and just check out. I think this is also Zen 2, 8 core 16 threads, 3.6 GHz. Just need to confirm its generation. So Zen 2 CPU. Yeah, so Zen 2 includes the 3000 series basically, so it would be right to assume 3700X. Okay, there we have it. So 3700X single core performance is 43% higher, and just know this site isn't 100% accurate. This is just ballpark guessing yet again, but it should get you a general idea. So it's 43% higher single core performance on 48% dual core, and 8 core, well, it's about almost 100% faster. So that would give you a general idea as to the CPU. So yeah, it will run, but you'll probably be getting around 40 FPS, 50 if possible. So I'm just guessing there, but it would be around there. Okay, next question. Will it work on an Intel Core i5-9400 for GTX 1650, 4GB of VRAM and 16 gigs RAM? Now let's just go with the 1650 first. So we are using the 780 as a baseline now. So 1650. Okay, 1650 is about 4% faster than the GTX 780. Yet again, website isn't 100%, but we can ballpark it. So 1650 is 4%. So it's basically the same as a GTX 780. So you're going to be running at high settings 30 FPS with that GPU, or low settings you're probably going to be getting 60, around 60. Not 100%, but around 60. So as for the CPU, let's just go to the CPU. i5 9400. You just i5 9400. Just confirm it's the base 9. Okay, it's a F, but it's the same. So 9400. Still definitely better. It's got 6 cores, 6 threads. So the thing about 4-core 8 threads is you plus it. So it's actually 4 plus 4 and 4. So it's gonna be 8 core. Well, it's not 8 cores, but it's 4 cores, 8 threads. But the 8 threads is there. Where this is 6 cores and 6 threads, so it's only going to be 6. It's a little bit less threads on this side, but still it should probably, because of the IPC and higher single core and multi-core performance, it will definitely beat out this i7 4790. As you can see here, it's about 28% faster. And single core is 21%. It's not a huge upgrade, but it should be able to do 60 in my opinion. Or almost 60 FPS. Yet again, this website isn't 100%, but you get a general idea. So yes, it will run on an i5 9400 and a GTX 1650. Although you're gonna probably not be getting a stable 60 FPS. Especially with the GPU, unless you run it at low settings, but probably you won't want to be doing low settings. You know, I guess you're going to be doing like medium or something. Okay, i3 9100F. This is the next requirements. 90. What? A 9100 or what? Yeah, 9100F. 9100F. If it's dual core, you're gonna be probably getting issues. Let's just check here. Okay, it's 4 cores, 4 threads. Now you're gonna lack 8 threads, so I'm not gonna be saying to you it's gonna work per se, but it's still faster than the i7 4790. However, just a guess, yeah, it should work, but you're gonna have some stutters because lack of threads and stuff. These days games are a lot more multi-core and multi-threads sensitive. However, it should be playable for 30 FPS definitely. What was your GPU? Whoa, this is a quite imbalance. RX 5700X XT. Okay, 5700 XT should be around here. 5700. Here we have it. 238% of a GTX 780. So it's more than double the performance of a 780, and a 780 is here as the recommended. So you're gonna be doing 60 FPS on 1080p highest settings, and you can probably bump it up to 4K a little bit more than 30 FPS. Let's just go back to this and see RTX 2060. Yeah, so 2060 Super and the 5700 XT is about the same ballpark. So you can also do 4K 30 FPS. However, your CPU is lacking. So you probably want to play at high resolution, because otherwise your system is going to stutter due to the CPU. The CPU, when it runs at a higher, when the game runs at a higher frame rate, the CPU might be maxed out but the GPU not, so that would be sensitive to spikes in gameplay, like moving around in the game might cause stutters, since scenes are different and what all. So yeah, you probably want to play 4K 30 FPS or just use 1080p if you don't have a 4K monitor, and lock the FPS to like 30 or 35 FPS with a Riva tuner, or maybe the game itself has a frame locking system, or you can just use VSync or something. So yeah, it will work, but cutting it close with the CPU there. Well, it's running a Asus TUF 15 with Ryzen 7 6800H and RTX 2050. Straight off the bat, yes, it will run low settings, medium settings probably. As for high settings, let's just check out with RTX 2050. I'm guessing a 2050 would be around here somewhere. It's quite an odd GPU because it's laptop centered. Probably not going to be listed here. Let's just look up tech power up. 2050. Here we go. Okay, the 2050 mobile. It's about the same as the GTX 780. That's probably, let's just see here, you're gonna be able to do high settings 30 FPS, 1080p resolution, the recommended settings. So if you blend medium and high, you'll probably be able to get 60 FPS with that GPU, because the CPU itself would be a lot more performant in my opinion than the GPU, but you can't upgrade the system, so you're stuck with that GPU and CPU, so you can stick with that. So yes, it will play. Okay, now next is an Intel Core i7 3770 with an RX 6400 and 16 gigabytes RAM. Now i7 3770, it's not an overclockable CPU, so you won't be able to gain the 4th gen performance with overclocking. However, I think in my opinion that i7 3770 would be a little bit more smoother than this i3 9100 because of more threads. So 3770, I'm gonna go with the base 3770. Let's see how much performance we lose. Just about 7%, so it's not gonna be major. So for the i7 3770, you'll definitely be able to get around 30 FPS, maybe a little bit more. We're not sure how the game performs on CPUs yet, only GPUs, because they state the specific GPUs and frame rate. But as for CPUs, we're not sure yet. However, I think a 3770, even though it's below spec, it will be able to run it at least at 30 FPS. Okay, and your GPU 6400. Okay, 6400. It's gonna go down. Let's just go 6400. There we go. A 6400 is equivalent to a GTX 780. So yet again, we're gonna be having we're going to be having high settings, 30 FPS. Since your CPU is so low spec, you might as well just play high settings of the 6400 and you'll be locked at a 30 FPS. So yes, it will probably run. I'm not 100% because of your CPU requirements, but it should run in my opinion, unless they lock down certain micro code like AVX or something, but I don't think they'll be doing that on Unreal Engine. Most Unreal Engine games don't require AVX2 or 16C or whatever those instruction sets are. So you'll probably be able to run it, but I'm not sure it's going to hit 30 FPS. Maybe it will, but not constantly. So this is cutting it very close, but yes, it should run in my opinion with the specs we know now. Okay, next up. Uh, 1650 Ti. Like we've seen before, it should run a little bit better than the other 1650 Ti. The 1650. If we go here, a 780. You see here the 1650 is a little bit higher, and the Ti version, wherever it is, let's just make sure we don't miss it. Okay, since we don't see the Ti version here, but we see the Super, it should be in this ballpark area. It's about the same as the GTX 780, a little bit faster than the 780. Yet again, recommended settings 1080p, high settings 30 FPS. So medium settings you'll probably be getting 40 to 50 FPS, maybe 60 if you lower it down to low. And CPU wise, i7-10750H. Now that's a laptop CPU, but it probably have at least 8 cores or 6 cores, 12 threads or something. Let me just check that here. i7 10. Let's just make sure what those requirements were. 10750H. So it's 10750H. There we go. 6 cores, 12 threads. Yes, it's definitely gonna be running faster. It's about 14% average score faster on this site. Yet again, this site isn't 100% accurate. I know, it's just general information. So 27% octa-core speed, but it's not octa-core, but it's max core speed. 27% faster, and quad core speed 18% faster. So its single core performance is 14% faster. So if we compare this to a 3700X, just see how it performs. It's about 25% faster. So with a 3700X, you'll probably be getting 60 FPS. So i7-10750H would likely get between 30 and 60 FPS. Maybe if we luck out and the CPU requirements aren't stringent, it should get 60. But we don't know because they haven't given us a specific CPU performance like 30 FPS on this CPU, only GPU wise, like I said before. Okay, so it should run. You can definitely expect 30 FPS. Likely you'll be able to push it up to 40 or 50 FPS if you tune the settings and stuff. Okay, i3-10100. This is the next requirements. And a GTX 1060. 1060 is in the requirements. You're going to be 4K 60 FPS. 30 FPS, sorry. and so it should be able to hit 1080p high settings around 40 to 50 FPS. Just get through the. No, let's just get the GTX 783 gigabyte versus the 1060. Let's just confirm the 1060. 1060 should be around here. Here it is. It's 32% faster than a 780. So you're probably gonna not max out every setting, since this is 783 gigabyte is 30 FPS on max settings. So you're gonna be getting a little bit more than that on max settings, 1080p. But if you lower like some settings medium, you should get 60 FPS with that GPU. It's not too strict to get that. Just lower some settings. Okay, as for what your CPU requirements are, i3 10100. Let's just go here. i3 10100. It's probably like a 4-core CPU yet again. Yeah, oh, it's 4-core 8 threads, that's not bad. Versus whoa, this CPU is quite effective. As you can see, it's comparable to a 3700X, even though it's an 8-core 16-thread CPU. I'm not saying this website is 100% accurate, but you can see comparisons of games here. GTA 5, and it's almost the same. And it actually beats out on Overwatch. So the i3 10100 should be able to get 60 FPS in my opinion here. Maybe a little bit more stutters, but it should be able to get around 60 FPS. So GPU wise, if you lower some settings, you'll be getting 60. And CPU wise, you'll be able to get 60 if you compare those two CPUs there. Okay, now Ryzen 5 7600X, you'll definitely be getting 60 FPS and plus with that CPU. The same with the RX 6800. It's a strong GPU. You'll probably get. Let's just see if you can get 60 FPS on 4K. Just make sure of that. So the 2060 Super. Okay, here it is. 2060 Super is 4K 30 FPS. So you're looking about double the performance of a RTX 2060 Super to get 60 FPS. So let's just see if the 6800 XT is here somewhere. It's so close. 194% faster than a 2060 Super. Now let's just see. You have the base 6800, not the XT version. It's gonna be a little bit less. 171. So you're gonna like get 40 to 50 FPS on 4K max settings. Lower some few settings and you can go 4K 60 FPS. So your system is quite well equipped to play any game at this point. Oh, this is interesting. GTX 640 i5 750. And that's quite a low entry level system there. I'm not sure we have a GTX 640, but let's just check it out. GTX 640. I'm not sure we have one of that. Only GT. Now, if we go here, what we are looking for is 660 class performance. Now, they state here 660 would do 30 FPS at 1080p resolution. Now, half of 1080p is 540p. So you can't just cut it out. So it's 1920. Let's just divide 1920. 960. So half the resolution, so it's not quite actually going to be half the resolution. 720p won't be half the resolution. So if it has FSR, you're probably going to be using that as well. Okay. So I'm doing this because 1080p is 1920 by 1080 for 30 FPS. So 660. Let's just go here. See how far away a 660 is. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite far. Here we go. 340% higher. 3x higher performance for 1080p. Low settings. Yeah, I don't think that GPU is going to work if it's a GT class GPU. That GT 640 is way too weak. Just on a stringent point, I'm gonna try and guess how much performance you're gonna get out of this. 1080p 30 FPS. So half of that would be 1960 by 540. Yeah, you're probably gonna need to run this at like 260p or something to barely scrape 30 FPS, if at all possible. So highly not recommended. Just get yourself a GTX 660. I mean, it's gonna be very cheap. You're gonna pay less than 20 or 30 bucks for it. So sell that crappy GPU and just get yourself something better. As for CPU, that's also quite tough. i7 or i5 750. Now that's first gen I series. i5 750. Yeah, this is not going to be doing it. Let's go with i7 4th gen here. i7 47. No, it's 40. 790, I think. Yes. Just see comparison here. Yeah. Your CPU is not going to cut it either. The i7 4790, which is the minimum spec, is 50% faster in single core, and in quad core, 8 core, it's 111% faster. So in my opinion, you should sell this system. I already replied. It won't work. You'll need an i7 4790 and an AMD Ryzen or AMD Ryzen 1500X. So what did I suggest to him? Okay, I told him about the mistyping maybe. Now, if that is not the i7 750 but the i5 750 but the i5 7500, it might be a different game, but I'm not sure if he mistyped there. I would suggest 5500 AMD CPU or 12th gen i3. And that seems about right. It's a good budget option, but if he wants to get something better, of course, it's always best not to upgrade to minimum spec stuff. You want to have some leverage room, so if you have the money, which I guess you don't, but if you have it, get yourself a good system. It will last longer and you won't have to buy twice. Okay, next up. You think a RX 6750 XT with 1 stick of 16 gig RAM and a Ryzen 5800X 3D can run as 1080p max settings. So let's just go first with the RX 6750 XT. RX 6750 XT. Let's just go and look for it. Here it is. Let's compare this to the super class card. Well, it's faster than the RTX 2080, which in this case the 2060 Super are for 4K 30 FPS. So yeah, I think it will run 1080p max settings above 60 FPS, but you might want to go to 4K. Then you can do medium settings or something and you'll get 4K 60. Or you can get 4K 30 FPS guaranteed. But 1080p, like you stated there, 1080p max settings is 100% achievable. However, you might want to upgrade your RAM. 16 gigabytes is enough, but single stick, you want to have dual core, what do you call it? Dual channel memory. So just get yourself another stick of RAM, and then you're set. The 5800X 3D is also one of the better CPUs. You're gonna definitely be getting plus 60 plus FPS in Sparking Zero. So you're set. Only get yourself another stick of RAM. Okay, do you think it will run with an i5 11400H? Let's just check that CPU out. Where did I put the CPUs? Yes. 11400H. Yeah, it's 11400H. Its single core performance is almost 50% faster. And max performance 63% faster. On a general view, 37% faster. So it will beat out the minimum CPU definitely. So minimum CPU is still the i7-4790. For recommended, they have i7-7700K. Let's check out. They should probably be getting 60 FPS. Yes. So let's go CPUs. i7-7700. Okay. Okay, so it's slightly faster than a 7700K. So I'm guessing you'll be able to get 60 FPS with the CPU. As for the GPU 3050 Ti. 3050. Let's look for the 3050. Don't see a Ti version. Then we need to do this. 3050 Ti. So this is probably a mobile CPU because it's an H class. Okay, let's just see how it goes. Compared to like a 780S. It's about the same performance as a GTX 780. So 780 falls into the what do you call it? 4K settings. No. Where's the 780? Yes. 780 is in the recommended, so high settings. 30 FPS 1080p. So you're going to be having a slightly better scenario. So you're going to get like 35 FPS maybe at max settings 1080p with that GPU. 16 gigs RAM is good. So in general, it seems like it will play it. You can probably get like 60 FPS if you lower it down to medium or low settings. I'm not sure how the settings will be, but it should be about like that. Now here we have another question. i5 7400 and a GTX 1050. Now 7400 will struggle, but it should be able to do it. Let's just go here. i5 7400. Oh, not a T version. Let's just go here. i5 7400 base. Let's just do it against the i7 4790. 4790. This should give us a general idea. Single core. Whoa, how? Okay, yes. So at multi-core it's 59% faster, and at single core slightly faster. It states here slightly lower memory latency and slightly faster single core speed. So the i7 4790 outperforms the i5 7400 because this is a 4-core and this is a 4-core 8-thread. 4-core 4 threads and 4-core 8 threads. But it's still in the same ballpark, so I'm guessing you'll be able to at least get 30. You'll probably be having a little bit of stutters, but 4 cores, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle. However, it should possibly work. I'm not guaranteeing it. This is a hard case, but I've played below minimum requirements before, and it's usually also not too bad. So in my opinion, you'll probably be able to play the game at least. Not going to be great, but it's going to be playable. Now as for the GTX 1050, let's just go to a 1050. Should be around here somewhere. It's a TI version, 1050. Let's just see how far that is from the requirements for max quality. We're going to look for a 680 or 780. Okay, so a 780 is 51% faster than a 1050. But let's just go to 660. So a 660 is about 13% slower, so you'll definitely be hovering around the medium settings, because a 660 is 1080p 30 fps. So you're gonna probably get around 35 to 40 fps with the 1050. So it's playable, but it's not gonna be great. The same goes for your CPU. Playable, but not great. And remember, this is on low settings. Okay. Ryzen 7 5700U, yes, that would run. It's quite a new CPU. Integrated AMD Radeon graphics. Oh. Intel Radeon graphics. 5700U integrated. Okay, tech power up. 5700U Intel. Here we go. Let's just see. I don't think they're gonna be giving us a GPU here. But it's Vega graphics. I'm not sure what specific Vega graphics. Okay, let's try this. Radeon graphics. Now, he didn't state what specific GPU this is, but I'm going to go with this one. Wait a second. Let's just go back. Yes, it should be that one. If you're gonna use that graphics, let's just go with the 660. See if it's here somewhere. It's about 58% slower than the minimum requirements GPU. So I can guess you'll probably get almost 30 FPS on 720p with this integrated graphics, but the CPU would run it fine. Let's just see what I stated here. Okay. CPU and RAM wise you're set, however the iGPU is difficult to guess. Yes, it's a Vega 8 iGPU 5000 series, seems to be a tad slower than a GTX 1050. Yeah, like I said, yeah, 720p low will likely work. So yes, what I stated here is, yeah, 720p low, maybe. Okay, now for RTX 3060 Ti, yes, that would run, but 1440p. Let's just see what I said here. Okay, the Series S is said to be running at 1440p in the in the Sparking Zero requirement sheet. I remember that. So yeah, I stated it would work probably because it falls within the same performance as a 3060 Ti. RTX 2060 Super and Intel Core i7 9750HF. It's this i7 9750HF. Man, Intel, these names, crazy. And now you're going crazier with the newer names. i7 9750HF. 9750H. I don't have the HF, but I have the H. So let's just compare that. Okay. So single core is 6% faster. Octa core is 13% faster. So it's basically the same as a minimum requirement CPU. So you'll guaranteed 30 FPS on that CPU. As for GPU, RTX 2060 Super, as you can see here, the Super can get 4K 30 FPS. So if your device has 4K monitor, play 4K 30 FPS. However, you will be getting double the performance probably on on 1080p resolution. Okay, next up, i7 10750H, another laptop CPU probably. 3060 would work. A 10750H. i7 10750H. There we go. It's about 14% single core faster and 27% multi-core faster. So it would definitely be getting above 30 FPS. However, I'm not sure how much faster. Yet again. because they haven't stated how the CPU specs would work. So let's just go here and see your GPU. 3060 would get you 4K 30 FPS, definitely, or 1080p 60 FPS. However, the CPU is not, I'm not sure of. So if I would like to take a guess, you're probably gonna get around 60 FPS with the CPU. Maybe like 50 to 60, not guaranteed 60 FPS. But we'll have to see and wait and see how the CPUs pan out. But yes, you can definitely play the game. Let me see what I stated here. Yes, like I said, 100% my answer is speculation based on the system requirements. The RTX 3060 will probably get 4K resolution, 35 FPS around. 1080p would get 60. Okay. So yeah, I think it would be able to get 60 FPS, but I'm definitely not sure of the i7, since it's not much faster than the low requirements CPU. However, we need to see if the low requirements CPU can actually get above 30 FPS. Because in most cases, like they state, you will need a i7 7700K, and I can literally play that same game on an i7 2600K. Yes, it's not great, but it's still playable. So in my opinion, it might be that we can also get 60 FPS on this type of i7. Since it is a H-class CPU, it's not that much faster. It's 6 cores, 12 threads, which benefits it a lot more. So you will likely get 60 FPS. We don't know yet, but we'll need to see. Okay, a Ryzen 9, come on, that's gonna run easily. 6800M. Yes, it would run the game. The 6800M. Let's just see if we can find one here. Otherwise, we need to search it yet again. 6800M. Because mobile GPUs and CPUs are usually a little bit lower. Yes, okay. It's about the 2080 Super class card. So you're probably gonna get around 1440p, 60 FPS. Let's just go here. Yep. So it's the same as a 2080 Super all around. Okay. So yes, you'll be able to get 60 FPS with this GPU on the recommended requirements. However, 4K might not be able to achieve 60 FPS, but you'll definitely be able to achieve 30 FPS plus, maybe like 50. I'm just guessing here, since it's around 2080 Super class card, and this is 2060. You're gonna get 50. If you're lucky, it's gonna be close to 60, but I'm not sure it's gonna be able to attain 60 all the time. However, I'm definitely gonna be testing Sparking Zero once it comes out, and I'll confirm some stuff by then. Okay, next up, speculate. Okay. We have the same requirements here, okay. 750 Ti, that's interesting. i5 650 won't work. But the 750 Ti, let's see if your GPU would be able to do that. The 750 Ti would fall around here somewhere. 660. Funny how there's no 750 Ti. 750 Ti. You just see how far it's from the requirements, which is the 660 or 780 for high settings. You won't be able to do high settings, but maybe like minimum, a blend between minimum and low. So 750 and a 660. Where's the 660 class GPU? Okay, no. 660 is 17% faster than a 750 Ti. Now, yet again, this is not 100% accurate. However, because the 660's drivers are also gonna be old and stuff, so maybe with the 750 Ti, I think the 750 Ti still gets driver updates. 760 and those cards won't, but the 750 is based on what's it, Maxwell, I think. So it still gets driver updates for some reason. However, 17% faster on this. You're probably gonna be 900 playing 900p 30 FPS, or at low settings, of course. Since you'll be able to achieve 30 FPS 1080p with a 660, you might want to try and overclock your 750 Ti a tad bit, as well as probably go with a lower resolution than 1080p. Then you'll definitely be getting above 30 FPS. However, your CPU won't cut it. A i5 650 is first gen. However, if you meant 6500, it would probably run it. But if it is a 650, I'm sorry for you, but that won't run it. Yeah, like I said, yeah, it's a 2-core 4-thread CPU, need 4 cores, 8 threads, and 12 gig RAM. He has only 8 gigabytes of RAM. So what I'd suggest is sell the platform and just buy like a 4th gen i7 and you'll be set. It shouldn't be too expensive. And you can probably use that RAM if it's DDR3. Unless it's like 2 4 gig sticks, then you'll need to get 2 more 4 gig sticks. Or you can go with selling the whole platform and just buying 16 gigabytes of RAM. You can still use your power supply and basically everything in your system. Okay, Ryzen 5 5600. Yes, that would get 60 FPS. And we have heard of the AMD RX 6400. RX 6400. Let's go through that again. It falls in the same territory as the 780. So recommended settings 30 FPS. And your CPU can do 60 FPS, but your GPU can only do 30 FPS on recommended settings. So if you run like medium or low, it's gonna get 60. Okay, i5 10200H with a 1650. We already done the 1650. I'm not going to do that again. But I'll look at your CPU. The 10200H. 10200H. There we go. It's about 6%. Okay, single core 10% faster. And multi-core 8% faster. So yes, it will get 30 FPS. And as for your GPU, I stated I'm not going to check it, but you will be getting 30 FPS plus on that, definitely. So I'd suggest go with recommended settings. Let me just go here and go to the 1650. Yes, as you can see, the 1650 is right here, same as the 780. So you can either go get more FPS by going minimum settings, but you're not going to be getting 60 because of your CPU, or going recommended settings and get 30 FPS on 1080p max settings. So that's the two routes you can go. As you stated here, you only have 8 gigs RAM, but you're upgrading. So, oh no, you have 24 gigs RAM. Yeah, that's good. Your RAM is good. Okay, 1660 Super and a 3600. 3600 should be able to achieve around 60 FPS, since it's still on the same generation as the PS5, the Zen 2 architecture. So you maybe a little bit more stutters compared to the 8-core variant, but you should be able to get 60 FPS. As for the GPU, 1660 Super. Let's just look quickly through here. 1660. Yeah, there it is. It's about 66% higher than the 780, if I'm correct. Let's just go with the 780 first. Where are you, 780? Here it is. And then go to the 1660 Super. Here we go. 68% faster. So you're probably gonna go, since the 780 is, well, the 1660 Super is 68% faster, you can probably do, like, instead of going minimum or maximum settings, just lower a few settings and you can get 60 FPS on 1080p. On higher settings, of course, but you'll be able to achieve 60 FPS on both CPU and RAM. CPU and GPU and RAM. So so it will do 60 FPS. 3400G Vega 11 graphics. Like I stated here, the CPU would work fine. However, for the Vega 11 GPU, it's about 20 to 40% slower than a minimum requirements GPU. However, let's just see. Yeah, like I say, you'll be able to get around 720p to 900p 30 FPS low settings with the Vega 11 graphics. Will it work on an RTX 3050 and an i5? I don't know which i5, but a 3050, yes. Likely from 7th gen to 8th gen and up, i5s would work for 30 FPS. And there we have it. I've gone through all the asking of requirements. Now, you can always let me know what your system requirements is and I'll check it out later on. And thank you for watching. And please like the video and or subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you and goodbye.